2023, and this is Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, and it's the Planning and Zoning meeting for the town of Bluff. Amanda Podmore has an excused absence this evening as she is in meetings. So as co-chair, as vice chair, I guess it is, I am taking over the reins. And the first step is roll call. Marcia Haydenfeld.
Malia Collins.
Ed Dobson.
Brian Whitney.
Great. And we have town representatives, please.
Luann Hook.
Erin Nelson serving as town manager.
Awesome. And that gives us our setup, and we have Kathleen taking notes and Craig blasting us out to the world. So I think we're ready to go. The first thing is approval of meeting minutes from April 19th, 2023. And I've asked Erin to be my tech manager because I'm old and I don't know how to do that. So if she would just show us the notes, there we go. Do I have comments as we scroll down? Did anyone see anything they need to do?
I couldn't access those either, so if you could just pause, let me just see what you said I said. Real quick.
Okay.
It's well right there. Oop. Gotta scroll back up. I couldn't get to.
Oh, she also made, that's right, Erin. She made a comment under public speaking too. So yeah, right there. We'll let you check, Luann.
Right. Okay. I saw that one.
Okay. And then old business, did you, that was also your report. Do you see anything that was miswritten there?
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, Erin, you may keep going. I think my one comment is at the bottom. So anybody else? Okay, so the only comment was under the RV ordinance. I think it was Hayden Felton Collins would like to keep up the work as opposed to Podmore, who will obviously help, but I don't think she was ready.
No, you're right. It's a brain glitch on my part.
Well, we can't have that.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Okay, so with that one minor correction, and Luann got a chance to check, do I have a motion for the minutes, please?
So moved with the correction.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, I have a second. We have Ed's motion and Malia's second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes as fixed up, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. That's all four of us. Thank you. Okay. We have public citizens to be heard, and this part of the agenda is for people who have something to say for about 3 minutes that is not listed on tonight's agenda of items. And if you would like to speak, you're welcome to raise your hand from what I can see or drop your name in the chat and I'll check. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Amr and Anthony. So Amr, I saw your hand first. Go there and then I'll let Anthony in.
Thanks, Marcia. I have a couple of quick comments. One, during the discussion last week, Luann Hook had it right when she was wondering if I should be on the agenda. I don't think anybody in town, and I know people are trying to say that this has nothing to do with Desert Rose or any specific property. It has 100% to do with Desert Rose. This emergency ordinance was enacted because of what we're doing. So to say it has nothing to do with a particular property, I think is an insult to all of our intelligence. So that's the first point. The second point, I've been reading the comments on the website, and one gentleman who used to be a firefighter at an airport, just want to mention a couple of things. Being a firefighter, I used to be a volunteer with the fire department. I have a lot of respect for firefighters. That doesn't make one an expert on aviation. Being a college instructor in math and physics and being an engineer, I brought a prop with me today. Helicopters and airplanes obviously goes without saying that they are different. But I think the gentleman conflated the two just to instill fear in people, because I've already talked to people that have said, oh, the concern about, the wind. And so he's correct in saying that the prevailing wind is from the west. And if this was an airport, then, fixed wing aircraft will have to see where the wind is coming from and land from the opposite direction. It's different for helicopters. You can come in over the river from the west, over the floodplain with the wind, and then rotate 180 degrees into the wind and then sit down. The implication that he's saying is if to fly into the wind, you have to go around through the town to come in and land. And if that was the case, no one would be able to use the helipad at UNHS in Montezuma Creek. You have the clinic, you have the fire department across the street, you have the C-store, and you have the elementary school. They can come in over the C-store, over that guard kiosk. There are 3 or 4 lights that bring them in, and that's the only way in. They turn, and that's the only way out. And just to show you, and I submitted this, I sent it to Planning and Zoning, and I sent this to the mayor as well, where our proposed flight path is from the west, coming into our property. Of course, people can come in, to Recapture Lodge and Bluff Gardens, wherever. And then to leave, we would go back over the river, around the town, past the gravel pit and past the old dump. So
Okay.
those are the 2 comments I have. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Thank you, Amr. Those are timely comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see, Anthony, I believe you needed, or it says Bluff Fire, so I'm going with Anthony. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yes, sorry. I had asked to be on the agenda at some point, and I didn't know if I was for this meeting. So
Oh,
I'm just
you
here in
are.
case.
Oh, yes, you
Oh,
are,
then
sir. Stay
no.
right where you are.
Yeah, I'll
You-
shut up until it's time
No.
on the agenda then.
I'm sorry, in the confusion of switching chairs for the week, we must have missed specifically sending you the agenda, and I apologize. We usually make sure that whoever's on it has seen it. You are coming up in about 3 more things, so hang on. Thank you,
Great,
Anthony.
thanks, Mark.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to make a comment? Not on tonight's agenda?
Marcia, there's one little number that I forgot. It'll take 2 seconds. I promise.
Okay, you have 2. Go ahead, 2
2
seconds.
seconds. You can fly into the wind up to 30 knots. That's 30 miles an hour. Over 30 knots, no helicopter is going to be flying. So up to
Okay.
30 knots, you can land, can turn into the wind and land on a helicopter, on a helipad.
Okay, I'm
Thank
calling my nephew, the pilot, and asking him if you're right.
Right? That's from my son, the commercial pilot.
I know, your son, the pilot, too. All right, guys, this is closing the public citizens section of the agenda
Thank you.
and moving on to our old business section. And that starts with an update from town council, which in this case is the esteemed Luann Hook.
Okay, so yes, we had a meeting. We had a meeting yesterday, and then what we also had was at the end of the month, April 27th, we had the all-day strategic planning session, and we started at 10, went to 5, so it was quite a deal. And 3 of the groups, the initiative groups, presented. One's the livability, which is the one I was participating in with the trail and whatnot. And then there's sustained government, and Aaron chaired that one. Dan Meyer chaired the livability one. And then Aaron chaired the sustained government and also the mindful growth. And so each of those groups presented, and we talked through all of those. And then the pathway people, they've got 2 associates, and they will be pulling it all together and giving us a document by the end of the month, it sounded like. And Aaron, you can help me with these dates if I've messed anything up. The other thing that we did is we want to do a dark sky committee, and we'll be looking for a couple more people. There's myself and Sarah and Aaron. It'd be helpful to have a couple more. I think somebody else has put in their name, not sure. So anyway, we're working on that one. The elections for Sayers and Brandt are both up for re-election, and that to post your name, you have to come into the office June 1st through June 7th here in Bluff. And then the accountant discovered that we qualify for a gravel pit tax. It's a sales tax that the state is doing somehow. If you have gravel pits within your town, you get a little bit of money. So we'll see. We don't know yet. That'll come in July. Don't know what the amount will be, but it's shared through the state based on our population, it sounds like. So kind of like what the sales tax does. We talked about the joint session with you all, and Aaron, again, this is date-wise, is May 17th is what I have written down. So you can.
Yeah, and I don't know if that made it on tonight's agenda, but the council did want to propose having a joint session. So they need to meet for a work session from 4:30 to 6, and they were proposing hosting a joint session with you all from 6 to 6:30 on May 17th, which is your regularly scheduled meeting date. And then perhaps you could do, an abbreviated rest of your meeting for the remainder of the time. And I apologize that didn't formally get on your agenda for this evening. It didn't get posted to the public notice website, but it is in our update here. So if we could have that up for discussion under other or now would be great.
Okay, let's do it under other, because then we can direct who's going to tell whom, so we don't lose the trail. Great.
Okay. And then the other one is the aviation hearing, which you all proposed a date. It was finalized on Monday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. It's a little bit different. I won't say the date you all proposed, so just to keep it straight, it's Monday, May 22nd. And then the mayor was put up for an award, which not sure exactly who's giving her the award, but she is getting an award for being the mayor and all the work she's done to get the town incorporated and whatnot. And Aaron, anything else you want to add?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Luann or Aaron from the town news, the town criers? Okay. Moving on to the second part, which is also, I believe, under the town's auspices, and that is the update on the signage enforcement. Lou or Aaron, do you have the current status of that?
I haven't seen any updates. I do
Okay.
believe that it went to our council for to our legal counsel, but I haven't seen any updates since the last time.
Okay. As I understood it, the last word was Chris McEnany calling directly to the sign owner and dealing that way. So until we hear differently, we'll just leave it in that bailiwick. Okay. That takes us to the new business, and the first one is land use clearances, and I did not receive any. Has anyone got anything they heard that we didn't see accurately? Okay. So we're moving on, and here comes Mr. Firefighter. So Anthony Lott is on our schedule tonight because we got a letter that asks general questions about what might be happening or they might propose on the land that we kind of all know as the taco corner. It's Sandy's property that now Erin has her restaurant and things behind it. So what I'd like to propose is I'd like to give the floor to Anthony for a few minutes to present what he's talking about, and then I'll open it to the commissioners to see if we can't help direct some answers. Go ahead, Anthony.
Great, thank you, Marcia. So that turquoise space, there are a few things that a handful of us are talking about wanting to do with the cinder block building that already exists there. And just as a quick overview, I would like to use some of that space as an artist co-op, as an exhibition space, but that's not exactly what I'm coming to you with questions about at the moment. Although, if the committee has suggestions or concerns about that part as well, and then anything that I need to start thinking about, I would be grateful for that. That signposting. And so, in the back of that structure, part of Sandy's vision is to have some workforce housing back there. And this seems to dovetail pretty well with what the town, planning process is kind of like brought forth as a priority. Is getting a little bit of diversification in housing in the town. And so Sandy's got a lot, to think about. And so part of what I am trying to do to move this along is to come up with some proposals for different kinds of structures back there in the space that has been set up as the RV park for the Turquoise. So I would like to put together just a proposal that would outline the costs and some of the other issues surrounding different kinds of structures from, I don't think, one of the options I was looking at was shipping container construction. I think that's just not, I think that's going to be just too bulky for us. But so ranging from tiny houses to smaller stick-built structures to yurts and anything else that seems to float up as a potential structure that could become a part of a unified neighborhood that is in that space just to the north of the Turquoise and the restaurant. So with that in mind, if you have any, if there are any of those structures that are just non-starters in the eyes of the committee, it would be fantastic to hear about that. If you have suggestions for things to consider, to watch for, to that, I don't know. And my next steps are to take these same sorts of questions to the county, and then to kind of aggregate all this information I can get and put it together with the financial stuff, and then talk to Sandy about it. Was that any kind of a coherent introduction to my question?
Anthony, I do think it was a coherent presentation, and particularly since you had already sent us the letter that was kind of telling that story. So a couple of things came up in your little spiel that I just want to make sure of. What is your concern with the county? What you just said you would take it to the county.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if there are restrictions on what's considered a habitable structure in town. I mean, and I don't know if, I don't know if there's how the division of operations or authority or whatever, how that all is mapped out.
That's kind of where I thought you were coming from. So let me give you the 1 minute lesson. And the 1 minute lesson is that the town is responsible for everything being done in it. And because we're a tiny town, not a tiny house, but a tiny town, we don't yet have the staff, facilities, and wherewithal to be a building department, a sanitation department, and all of things. So the division of labor, as you questioned, is you'll come to planning and zoning / town council, depending on what you're putting forward, and you'll present us with the land use clearance that says, ta-da, here's what we'd like to do. We, planning and zoning or council, depending on what, will say, yes, that works. Now go get your building permit stuff from the county. And what we've done is the town has a MOU or whatever the paperwork is, has an understanding with the county that says, please be our building department until we're ready. So Anthony, you absolutely can go to the county for something that confuses you and someone might know something better. Absolutely. But jurisdiction and authority starts here. Okay. Awesome. So that's the first answer I have for you. The next answer I have for you is to say that the Planning and Zoning Commission won't be giving you okays and not okays tonight based on the committee, because we haven't discussed this as an item. I'm going to open it to the commissioners to either ask or comment as general commissioners, as general neighbors, commissioners, and friends, because once you bring us something, that's what we would discuss and approve and tell you about. So I'll just start by saying, for example, I prefer, as a citizen, no containers, because I find them that they sort of block the site. I think yurts are fun, but I like skiing to them. I don't usually think of them as living quarters, but they could be. So there are things like that. But once you bring a proposal and I go, whoa, that's a cool yurt, then maybe we will vote. The last thing I will say is a little bit more official, and that is what you're going to be aiming for when you go to do this is the density that will fit on the property, because we have no measured density for the C3 or, the commercial districts. And instead, we just ask that you meet all of the things like setbacks and sanitation, for example, the leach fields and septic, so that those are the things that will tell you most how much and where you can build. Okay, that was my opening remarks. Anyone else on council, please, or commission, please let me know. Malia.
Thank you.
Hey, Anthony, thank you for bringing this to our commission. This is really cool to hear about. And as you were speaking, I was looking at a map and just figuring out exactly where we're at. And if I'm correct, it is a commercial C3. And I'm curious if you know how much of that property you're planning to develop, like what the acreage is that is developable on that space.
I don't have that measured out, or I still need to get a plot map. So I'm going to guess it is about a 1/4 acre.
Okay.
So it is the space, if you can just imagine, between Hoyts and then where that, the northernmost point of that, the kind of gas station structure has been extended. And so just along that row, and then the trailer that's in that space will be removed. And so that gives a little bit more circulation room in there too. But I will make sure that I get that answered.
Cool, thank you. I was thinking that was the space that we were talking about. I wanted to just make sure. And so I agree that everything that Marcia said is correct. I mean, the density is really going to be up to the way it's already been zoned and what the lot size needs to be, and that things will fit within it the way that they do based on what we already have with setbacks and everything. So it's actually pretty timely because we've been putting together an RV, tiny house, mobile home ordinance, trying to figure that out. So this is a great practice for us. So thanks for bringing it up.
Thanks, Malia.
Brian or Ed, does anyone have a comment? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Let's see. Ed, were you starting to speak? Go ahead.
No, that wasn't me.
Sorry about that. Go, Brian.
Hi, Anthony. I was just, the only thing that I was sort of thinking was, I guess more from a citizen standpoint, was just thinking about how I've worked on projects of like sort of dense developments in the past, a little bit bigger than what I think you're looking at, but I would just definitely recommend thinking about infrastructure needs before the needs of maybe just like the actual materials of the house, because I think in a space that's that dense, those infrastructure needs such as septic and the feeds for water and electricity and all those things might define a little bit more of what you are able to do with the space available. But that's all I was thinking.
Great. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. One other thought that just came to mind when Malia was speaking was the idea that we are in fact working on some ideas for RVs and tiny homes. At this juncture, we don't have any specifics for that except for what we just mentioned, setbacks, etc. So it will be sort of in conjunction with timing, tells us what you'll need to do. But even so, anything you bring forward would be within the scope of the existing ordinance at the time. Okay.
May I ask a question just to follow up on that?
Sure.
Is there a definition that around the idea of RV or tiny home that would maybe become a filter for one sort of construction or another?
At the moment, in the existing ordinance, we have RVs defined and we have RV park defined. We do not have tiny home defined. And we certainly don't have yurts defined, although I think they would probably fall in tiny home. I'm not sure. There's another one for us, Malia, that we didn't think of. So look up the definition of RV in terms of moving things and homes. It does say tiny. It does say homes on wheels or not on wheels under the RV. I think check the RV and RV park in the town planning ordinance, because I read it. I've completely forgotten what I read, but I know there's some wording in there. There are not some total definitions yet. Okay, so my question to Anthony is, did we give you enough just oversight of what we feel and understand? Obviously, without being totally specific. Is there something else that you need?
No, this is really helpful, and I just needed to get the process started. And I apologize for calling you a committee and not a commission.
We can be anything you need us to be, no problem. Anthony, this sounds like great work and a lot of it. So please don't hesitate to come back to us if you have specifics that we can, we want to point you in the right way going along. So sounds like all kinds of planning going on. Good luck with it. And thank you.
I'll come back with you with something much more concrete. So yeah, thanks for your patience.
Go, Malia.
I do have one other thing. I was just now looking at our subdivision ordinance, and this isn't you're not planning on making this a subdivision, correct? So dividing this into different. Part of what's quirky about it, is that this would be a way for folks to have space, but they wouldn't have ownership over that land, and that's also going to maybe influence the kind of structures that go into that. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure we didn't say something wrong, and then you're like, it's a subdivision.
Good catch. Yeah, no, good catch, Malia. And I think it was one of Sandy's questions a while back was she didn't have enough acreage to actually split up for C3. So that it was a good catch to mention that now, so you don't come back and go, oh yeah, wait, we can't split it up. So good. Okay. I think we've got the subject covered. Anthony, if you're comfortable, we're going to move on. All right. Thank you. Let's see. Our next discussion is to plan for the hosting of the aviation public hearing. And for those of you who are new to this, public hearings have to be held in very, sort of regimented way, basically, where you just, Amanda will introduce and say what we're doing, and then each person will get X number of hours to minutes to speak, and we will go through the regimen by the way to get through the regimen is to have people watching. So in other words, Amanda's chairing the meeting. Oftentimes I've been the timer where I hold up a piece of paper and it'll say 1 minute or something like that. That's based on the idea that we're doing Zoom meeting or hybrid meeting kind of thing. As I understand this, and this is a question for Erin, I believe we're setting this up as a hybrid meeting where some of us will be, whoever wants to, will be at the community center. But thanks to our AV expert, we will be able to have comments both here at this community center and from the public that's watching. Erin, does that sound correct?
So with the date change, I did need to confirm. Craig, are you on right now? Craig Benally, are you on?
His little AV button is there, but I don't see him.
because I will be honest, his availability would dictate whether we're able to do only in person or virtual or a hybrid.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're waiting on. Maybe let me give him a message to see if he's. Oh, sorry.
Look, the letters AV are speaking. It's so cool.
Craig, with the change to May 22nd for this public hearing at 6 p.m., are you available to set up all the tech for a hybrid meeting on May 22nd? Excellent. Okay, so that would, yes, I think the town's intention is that we would want to host a hybrid meeting that would enable people to provide comment across the board. And so I will coordinate with Craig to get all that set up because the setup is pretty intense.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And that brings me to set up, which is, I don't know if I got that or not. No, I didn't. Okay, just let it ring. Sorry. The deal is that if it's a hybrid meeting, we went to one for that land swap up at the top of the land secession up at the top of the hill, and it worked beautifully. And I was impressed with, Craig getting us AV'd through it and the town running it. So I'm looking forward to the idea that most of us will be at the community center. I know I'll try and be there because physically there, at least we understand the workings of it, but that people get to comment from everywhere. So what I need to know is there's on the notes that Amanda put in our agenda for the hearing procedure, she writes event set up at the community center at 5:30. And once again, Erin, I'm asking you, do you like us to get there a few minutes early if we're on the commission so that we can help you with that? Is that what she's talking about?
I'm not sure exactly what she's referencing. I will ask Craig to please arrive by at least 5 p.m. And then I would ask that commissioners probably arrive about 20 minutes prior, just so you're all set and you understand the system. But it definitely is more just to ensure that Craig has the time and space to move stuff around and do what he does best.
Okay, great. So you'll be working with him and we'll show up. And if we can or need to, we can grab chairs or do anything that might need extra hands for a minute. Yes, Malia, my dear.
Speaking as the community center manager, there is an event that goes on until 5 that evening, I believe. So it will be kind of a tight squeeze in there. The county economic development meeting, is that in person?
I don't know it. So, okay. It was Mayor Ann who switched the date. And so maybe she knew that it was short. I don't know. So Erin, we're just going to kind of drop it in your lap that we need a double check of what is going on, if that's okay for timing. And you don't have anything to do. So just giving you one more assignment. What the heck, right?
No, we'll be set up. We'll be fine.
Okay.
I will look into San Juan County economic development though. Thanks, Malia.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then she adds, chair the meeting is Amanda, and then she adds summary of comments to the spreadsheet. And I believe that what happened was someone was typing while the comments were coming in, but I'm not sure how that happened. And I'm referring to the meeting where the land separation up above, because there was, and so I'm not familiar with what she's asking to be done right there. If Erin is, or if we need to, we still have a little time, so I'm not going to panic here. We just need to figure out if she needs to assign someone that duty. Okay. And then the last one was timing. And like I mentioned, it typically is one of those hold up the timesheet so someone knows to stop talking, and I'm happy to do that or whatever. So I think tonight, if it's okay with everybody, we will leave this as the general overview of what's going to happen. We know that Erin will be working with Craig to finalize any of that. And then Amanda will be back with us to talk about the last things she needs at the 17th meeting on the 17th. Is that okay? Does everyone feel comfortable with that? Great.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay. Luann, go first. Yep.
Well, I just was going to say that I'm pretty sure Melissa has done that in the past.
Oh, that's right. She was always so good at live dropping. Okay, well, we'll see if we can't figure out what that is and see who, which of our techie friends wants to step up and take the duty. So you're right, Luann. I think that it was Melissa who was doing that. Let's see, Amr, I don't usually open it to the public, but if you have a quick question, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Marcia. I appreciate that. My question is just trying to understand the difference between, I'm hoping that just like the attorney for the Lyman property was allowed to speak at the beginning of the meeting and then wrap things up, if I'm going to be allowed to do the same thing, or if I'm just going to get 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank
As I understand this, and I will not be the final answer because I'm going to let the mayor, and the mayor and Amanda will have to take this on. My answer to you as a member of planning and zoning who's been chairing a lot of meetings over a lot of years is that you are not special to speak, because whatever aviation law, ordinance, or otherwise, or overlay zone or whatever comes of this is not specific to Desert Rose. And I understand you are correct that a lot of this came blowing out of the windstorm because of your proposal. I understand the way I would explain it is, if it is not a procedure directed to you, then it is for the entire community. And in fact, the discussion, a good example would be, we'll need to discuss UNHS building a clinic in Bluff, which they've said they want to do, and putting a helipad in their place. We'll need to discuss where and how aviation fits into what's happening in town without being specific to Desert Rose. I know a lot of people will be, and a lot of people will be talking about things that probably don't have to do with an aviation. Whoa. Are you there?
I am.
Oh, I lost me. Okay, so Amr, the answer that I have for you is, I understand why you've been told that you're not a speaker, that you are in fact just someone who will get 3 minutes or whatever the timing turns out to be. The gentleman who spoke at the lawyer who spoke at the last public hearing, we were dealing with a specific piece of land, and he represented that specific piece of land. And that's why he opened, and in this case, closed the meeting. So I do absolutely see a difference. I know it's frustrating, but I believe that that is where it's coming from.
Thanks, Marcia. The concern that I have is, I think the bulk of the comments are going to be about Desert Rose, and I'd like the opportunity to at least, to answer people's concerns and do it that way. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, I understand your concerns, and I believe that if you get specifically with Amanda and Ann to figure out anything different, that would be up to them. I do understand why they had said no initially.
All right. Thanks, Marcia.
You bet. Okay, let's see. Any other comments for the aviation public hearing? Because the specific jobs we'll assign at the next meeting, because there's not much left. Everybody good? Okay. We will move on, and we're moving on to something we're not going to move on to. We're moving on to the RV ordinance discussion. And Malia and I plead guilty to being just way too busy. Both of our lives are crazy, and we have not been able to sit down. Brian was willing to step up, but we haven't even had time to notify Brian that we're too busy to step up. So what I'd like to do is just take this off of the agenda tonight and keep it. What I'd like to do, excuse me, is just keep it on the agenda for every time that we can say, yeah, we accomplished something, or no, sorry, we didn't. So at the moment, we have nothing to report. Is that correct? Malia's thumbs up there.
That is very correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Which brings us in a timely manner to the items for the next agenda. Amanda wrote RV ordinance, isn't she clever? And the land use recording of the training. How many people have done that, by the way? I got it done. Did anybody else? As I think I wrote to you guys, it is absolutely something I looked forward to every year as a P&Z officer through the county, and before when I did it in Colorado. The training tells you so much about what's going on and how much of it affects us. And not always, because not a lot of it does stop. Not a lot of legislation in the state affects us because we're tiny, and most of it's the big towns and cities. But the stuff that does affect us, we need to catch up with. So it's a good thing to watch, because I mean, I've watched Will Summercorn give his spiel every time, but he does it well because he hits on the stuff you need to know. So first of all, my recommendation is watch it if you can. It's an hour and 30 minutes, I think. So, sit down with a beer or whatever. No. And then the other thing is that as a group, then we need to pick out a couple of things that will need updated or corrected in our ordinances to follow the new laws. Some of that overlaps with the town itself, because there's new procedures for who okays which applications, things like that. So everybody watch it. Let's put it on the next agenda, like it says here, and we will be ready to talk. Yes, Ms. Nelson.
I would recommend, if commissioners are able to watch it prior to the May 17th joint meeting, that would probably be most applicable. I know it's only a half hour in which you will be meeting with town council, but I do foresee there being some specific asks of your team stemming from what was presented in that. So May 17th, I'm going to say, is maybe homework deadline.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. That's a great summary, because there is overlap. There is definitely stuff that town is going to say, you guys, you need to have this ready for us, kind of thing. So that's a great idea. Okay, anything else on the next meeting that we know already? Obviously, we'll be open to submittals like land use clearances, etc. But does anyone have anything else that they have wanted to see us? Yes, Malia.
Oh gosh. We should be discussing our second meeting in June, because as of now we have one meeting in June and then we have like a month in between. So I know that at the beginning of the year we had discussed that around this time we'd look at our summer schedule, find a meeting so that we'd have enough meetings this summer, because we do have a pretty big gap there. So something to bring up, that we can all start looking at our schedules for that meeting.
Perfect. Kathleen, that's a good one to list on items for the next agenda, would be summer June meeting. Good. Excellent. Okay. Anything else for the next meeting? Okay, Erin, that brings us to discussion on joint meeting with town council. And I believe you and Luann have both said a few things about it, but do you want to add anything that goes under this item?
No, I think, yes, I think the primary purpose would just be the coordination on, those changes in legislature. Additionally, they might have some questions for you all about the public hearing, just making sure again that everyone is on the same page. So I would just be prepared to speak to that. I know they know that you all are very capable in hosting. However, if you have any questions about the hybrid nature of the meeting, it might be good to do that prior. I would suggest that probably town council, will just shoot Amanda their proposed agenda for that 30 minutes. And then you all would want to publish, I don't know exactly how it works with the overlap, but, as maybe a separate agenda for the 6:30 time slot. But I can coordinate with you, Marcia and Amanda, to make sure that
Right.
all
I was going to say Amanda does the posting and stuff. So if you two work that out, that's great. I'm the minutes person, but and I'm happy to help if you can't. I mean, Amanda, she's so swamped sometimes that it just hits on the wrong day, in which case I'll try. But I should tell you that due to family considerations, we're leaving town next week for about a week. So I'll be coming and going. I plan to be home by this night of the 17th for the meeting. If I'm on the road, I'll stop by the roadside and call in. But I think that the joint meeting will be very helpful for those two main things: our upcoming public hearing and the upcoming changes that the legislature has proposed that we need to keep up with. Thank you. Okay, so we have that, and under 10, under 10 other, I jotted down the joint meeting, but that's because I wasn't reading number 9 that said joint meeting. So does anyone have anything to add for other? Brian, have you been able to follow? I'm sorry, I mixed up all those Googles and other drives for you to read your paperwork, but I think you mentioned that you finally found everything you needed. Is that good?
Yeah, I am all set. Thank you for checking. Yeah, Amanda, Aaron got my email login all set up for me, and Amanda got me into the Google Drive. So
Perfect.
I've done my best to catch up, but I will definitely be reading some more forms.
No problem. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good. No, I appreciate it. We, excuse me, we try and keep everyone going along to get along, but sometimes we fall by the tech side. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, does anyone have anything else that we need for this evening's meeting? I have friends out in the kitchen making my dinner, so I'm ready to go.
Move to adjourn.
Wait, Malia said question. Yeah. Oh, you second?
Nope.
I thought she said
Yep.
question. Oh.
I was going to do the same thing. You beat me to it.
Okay, you rapid fire levers, you. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Say aye, bye.
Aye,
Thank
aye,
you
bye.
so much, everyone, for putting up with another meeting of the P&Z, and we hope we've done you proud. Have a great evening.